I still don't really know how to explain what happened to me, because even after all this time, I keep going back and questioning whether it was real or just my mind playing tricks on me. But the strange part is, there are too many small details that don't fit together if I try to call it imagination. This happened when I was living alone in a rented house on the outskirts of a quiet area. It wasn't anything special, just a simple one-story house with a small front yard and a gate that creaked every time you opened it. The street outside was almost always silent, especially at night. Hardly any traffic, hardly any people. At first, I actually liked that because I thought it would be peaceful after moving there for work. For the first few days, everything was completely normal. I would come home in the evening, eat something simple, watch videos on my phone, and then sleep. Nothing strange at all. But after about a week, I started noticing small things that I initially ignored. Sometimes, late at night, when I was about to fall asleep, I would hear faint sounds outside. At first, I thought it was just stray animals or maybe wind hitting something outside. But slowly, I started noticing a pattern. These sounds would almost always happen around the same time, between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., when everything outside was completely silent. One night, I was still awake, scrolling on my phone when I clearly heard footsteps outside. It wasn't random or fast. It was slow and steady, like someone walking carefully on dry dirt or gravel. I remember pausing the video I was watching and listening properly, because it didn't sound like anything normal anymore. The footsteps came closer to my house and then suddenly stopped, right outside. That moment felt strange, but I still tried to convince myself it was nothing serious. Maybe someone was just passing by. Maybe I was overthinking it because I was alone in a quiet place. The next morning, everything looked completely normal. No signs of anything unusual, so I ignored it. But after that night, it started happening more often. Not every night, but enough times that I started noticing a pattern. Slow footsteps, coming closer, stopping near the house, and then complete silence. After a few days, I started feeling a bit uneasy. I decided that the next time I heard it, I would check properly instead of just ignoring it. So one night, when I heard the sound again, I quietly got up and went near the window. I slowly moved the curtain and looked outside. Everything looked normal. The street was empty, the gate was closed, and there was no movement anywhere. That confused me even more, because I was sure I had heard footsteps right outside. But what started bothering me wasn't just the sound anymore. It was the consistency. It felt like whatever it was knew exactly when to come, always late at night when I was alone, and everything was quiet. A few days later, something else happened that made me uncomfortable. My front gate, which I always made sure to lock before sleeping, was slightly open in the morning. At first, I thought maybe I had made a mistake. Maybe I forgot to lock it properly. But I clearly remembered closing it and hearing the latch click. Still, I tried to ignore it and told myself it was nothing. That night, my sleep started getting worse. I kept waking up randomly, checking the time, and trying to convince myself everything was normal. But deep inside, I was starting to feel uneasy in my own house. Then, one night, things escalated. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up suddenly. I don't know what exactly woke me up, but the moment I opened my eyes, I felt something was different. The silence in the house felt heavier than usual, like the air itself was tense. After a few seconds, I heard something I hadn't heard before. A soft knocking on my front door. It wasn't loud or aggressive. It was slow, careful, almost like whoever was outside didn't want to scare me. Tap, pause, tap, tap. I remember sitting up in bed immediately, fully awake now. The knocking continued for a few seconds and then stopped. After that, I heard something else that made my stomach drop slightly. A faint voice outside. It wasn't clear enough to understand words, just low murmuring, like someone was standing there trying to speak quietly, or maybe trying to call someone inside without being noticed. At that point, I didn't move at all. I just stayed in bed and listened. My heart was beating faster, but I didn't want to make a sound. After maybe a minute, everything went silent again. No knocking, no voice, nothing. But I couldn't sleep after that. I just stayed awake until morning. listening for anything else, but nothing happened again that night. The next morning, I went outside immediately. I checked everything carefully around the front door. That's when I noticed faint marks on the ground. Not proper footprints, but disturbed dust, like someone had been standing there for a while. That made me feel even more uncomfortable because now it felt like something was actually happening outside my house, not just in my imagination. After that, I started becoming more alert at night. I even thought about installing a camera, but I kept delaying it, telling myself maybe it was just random noises and nothing serious. But things didn't stop there. A couple of nights later, I went to sleep like usual. Everything was normal at first, but around 3 a.m., I woke up again. This time I don't know what exactly woke me up, but the moment I opened my eyes, I had this strange feeling that something was too close. The room was completely dark, but I could hear something moving outside along the wall of the house. It wasn't footsteps this time. It sounded more like something slowly dragging against the wall, moving from the side of the house toward the front. I stayed completely still in bed, trying to listen carefully. The sound kept moving slowly, and then it stopped right outside my window. That window was right next to my bed, and suddenly it felt like whatever was outside was standing just inches away from me. I slowly turned my head toward the window, and I saw a shadow, a human-shaped shadow standing outside the glass. It wasn't moving at all, just standing there in complete silence. I couldn't see any face or details, just the outline of a person blocking a small part of the faint streetlight. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then I heard a soft tap on the window, then another one. Slow, controlled, like the person outside knew exactly where I was lying inside. At that point, I couldn't handle it anymore. I pulled the blanket over my head and stayed completely still, just hoping it would stop. My mind was racing, but I didn't move at all. After a while, everything went silent again. No tapping, no movement, nothing. But just when I thought it was finally over, I heard something very close to the window again, a whisper. Very faint, but clear enough to understand. Darwaza Holo. After hearing that, I didn't wait for anything else. I stayed awake until morning, sitting in bed and watching the room, not moving at all. The next day, I packed my things and left that house immediately. I didn't even try to find out what it was, because I didn't want to know the answer. Even now, I still don't know if it was a real person messing with me or something else entirely. But I do know one thing for sure. I wasn't imagining those footsteps, and I definitely wasn't alone in that house.